is life. Yes. I so intoxicated, man. You don't know why you do this. Yes.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Car Guy podcast. I'm your host, Pete the Car Guy. Thank y'all so much for joining me on such a beautiful Saturday morning. Can't wait to get started, and we got a whole lot to cover. So without further ado, you know how we do. We're going to go ahead and drop the What's Going On segment. Talk to me so you can see. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Showing off a few new dance moves. Hope y'all enjoy. All right, guys. The apparel line specs are pretty much etched and done in terms of how we're going to design it and do it. Next phase that we're doing right now is trying to decide which vendor to go with respect to pricing and just time frame and whatever. And of course, reorder setups. So I hope to have an example. I would love to have an example before the end of the month, if not first of next month. It will depend on once we get all this decided and done and negotiated out. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to come very soon. I'm actually really, really psyched about this because we're going to be well represented, and I want to make sure that we're well represented when we go out to the races and the various car shows and whatnot. And I just want the Car Guy faithful to know that we are strong and we're well represented out there and with the right logos and information, of course. So looking forward to that, and I can't wait to share an example with you guys on that very soon. Take the Wheel number 4 is pretty much set. We're going to be interviewing Mr. Chris Ford. He is a local and regional mechanic in and around the area, Mechanicsville specifically, and of course the greater Central Virginia region. Chris is an avid mechanic, has been a mechanic for several years, and he's also a big-time motorcycle restorer. He actually showed me a couple of examples that he's been working on, which I thought were really, really cool. I can't wait to have you guys meet him, and we're going to definitely kind of take a dive into what makes a good mechanic, a great mechanic, what to look for, and how we, the Car Guy faithful, can do to take care of our vehicles and make it an easy process. All right. So I can't wait to introduce you guys to him. That's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Thank you guys again for checking out the website, www.lifeofacarguy.com. Continue to check out the blogs and check out the videos as well, too. I think I've got a couple from the Virginia International Raceway up there that I did over the last few years. Those are going to be really cool to look at. So definitely make sure you like and comment on the blogs as well. And greatly appreciate you guys being a part of that. All right. Industry's news. This one was pretty cool. Auto Week News reported basically like just before midnight last night. They were highlighting Miss Dynasty Spurlock, who is the first African-American woman to participate in the ARCA and NASCAR national events. I thought this was really, really cool. Miss Spurlock actually placed in 3 races this past month, specifically on the ARCA circuit. She placed number 7 at the Hickory Motor Speedway. She placed 12th in the Rockingham County Speedway, and she was number 10 on the Kansas Speedway. So I thought that was really, really awesome. She, like a fellow gearhead like myself, she was opened up to the automotive industry and just NASCAR racing back when she was 2 to 3 years old. She's been a gearhead for many, many years, working on vehicles as well. She spent 16 years in the NHRA motorcycle raceway and has done that for quite a while and been very successful there. And she was also a participant in the Formula 4 circuit racing, arena car racing circuit. So I thought this was really, really cool to see. And she almost placed to be in the next NASCAR event, but she missed it just by, I think, 2 legs. So we're looking forward to see her reach her dream to be a NASCAR driver very, very soon. I think that's really, really cool. And it's just great to see inspirational things like this because it just opens up to just to know that anyone with the desire and the passion can accomplish anything. And it's great to see representation, and it's also great to see great examples such as this. So more power to you, Miss Dynasty. We'll definitely be following your races and look forward to seeing you place in NASCAR as well. My professional opinion of this is that, like I said, I just love all types of inspirational things. And you never know how you can inspire someone just by helping or just by participating in a person's interest. I want to touch on something, give a quick shout out to a gentleman that helped me many years ago when I was a young sales consultant and a very, very novice mechanic at best. His name is Gene Dale. Gene Dale was a what we call an A-Tech certified mechanic. That's the highest level of certification that you can get at a genuine Honda dealer. And Gene actually took time with me to show me how to do a specific repair on my 91 Honda Accord 5 speed. What was so cool about that was, I didn't really know Gene that well other than see him in passing. And he and I never really struck up any kind of conversations or whatnot. But I remember somebody telling me, go over and ask Gene, see if he can help you with what you're looking for. Not only did Gene stop what he was doing, he asked me where my vehicle was and he walked out with me, had me pop open my hood, and he showed me exactly what I needed to do. And he also showed me some fail safe ways to kind of make sure I wouldn't mess up replacing my thermostat in my 91 Accord. And, I thought that was so cool because he could have just easily just kind of given me directions and had me write some stuff down. But he actually took the time to go out and show me. It spent like 20 to 30 minutes doing that. So you never know who you will inspire to do great things. And that kind of thing, along with seeing this dynasty, just kind of inspires me to be the best that I can be with respect to the podcast and the blog. So I just thank everyone for the examples and just participating and just kind of blessing each other with their time and effort. So I think it's really cool. You never know who you can bless and just kind of inspire. So don't be afraid. Something you might know and share could be beneficial to anyone that you see. All right. So let's talk about the topic of discussion today. So this one is going to be really, really cool, as they all are, but this one kind of has a little backstory. Just kind of remind you guys, this is based on this segment 2 of the Car Guys demo series. So just a refresher, my previous life in the car sales industry, I was fortunate enough to take part in the demo program, which allowed me to drive any type of vehicle that I wanted between 30 and 60 days within a certain price point, mileage, and year. And I got to tell you, that was so much fun. And to a car guy, that's like heaven, right? You get to drive all sorts of vehicles. What? Say less. That was like one of my favorite things about doing that. This particular vehicle is near and dear to my heart because of my experience with Hondas in particular. And I'm going to speak on today the 2017 Honda Civic Type R. This actually was the exact color of the vehicle that I had a chance to demo. Of course, what they call the Nighthawk Black Pearl with the kind of cherry red suede interior. Man, that thing was plush and the bolsters were really, really tight. Like you were not going anywhere in this vehicle. It was really fun to drive. One of the things that kind of bring back to my remembrance is my first year in the car business. When I worked for Honda, West Broad Honda, and near Short Pump in Richmond. That year, it was 2005, spring of 2005. Honda introduced what later became Motor Trend Car of the Year, 2006 Honda Civic. They had a two-door and a four-door version of this vehicle, sedan style. It was the first type of design of this particular type with the digital speedometer and with the short box 6-gear shift that they had for the Civic Si, which was one of my favorite vehicles coming up back then. It was so fun to look at, so fun to drive, and the design of it and everything was just so, so cool. And I remember just fantasizing about owning one of these vehicles. And I remember being able to test drive a couple of them, and they were so fun to drive. And it was just, the overall acceleration for such a kind of a small power plant in that 4-cylinder. It really, really did very well. The Civic Type R was a no-brainer when that became available to me. I immediately snatched it up and put that in my demo log for the next several weeks. Just kind of a little backstory on the vehicle itself. This was the first year of this Civic Type R, and that was the 10th generation of the Honda design. With this particular model, the horsepower to torque was right at 306 horsepower and 295 pounds of torque. Very, very responsive on the acceleration. And one of the things I really, really loved about this vehicle was how user friendly and very forgiving that the clutch was on this vehicle. So, for those of you that are familiar and have driven vehicles with clutches, you kind of know not all clutches are made the same and are equal. There are some that are very easy to use, and there are some that don't give you much room for error. And the worst thing in the world you want to do is stall out while you're driving the manual. That's the most embarrassing thing in the world. The Civic had so much play in the clutch, and what I mean by that, it wasn't loose or anything. It just gave you a varying degree of points where you could shift and kind of get out of the acceleration and everything. And it made it really cool to drive, and it was very, very user friendly to kind of use. So I remember teaching a young person, a young man who did not know how to drive a stick. He wanted to buy a Honda Civic manual, and I was able to teach him how to drive a stick within an hour and a half. And one of the reason why I was able to do that within that short time frame was because of the clutch being so easy and forgiving. So I can tell you that that was very, very a strong positive about the Type R as well. The other thing I loved about it was that the steering wheel controls were very, very user friendly. When you're operating a six-speed manual, you don't want to take your hand off the stick and the steering wheel very often, obviously. So it's good to have good controls that are very user friendly to use. And the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto was really easily to sync in and to use for verbal commands too. So that worked out great. I love the silver shift knob on the vehicle. It's one of those things that was just kind of really cool that really kind of made it stand out, made it fun to drive. Not the most comfortable thing in the world on a hot day, because if you put your hand on that knob, it will burn your hand. So that was kind of a surprise. But otherwise, it was also pretty cool. The VTech controls on the dashboard were very, very cool to look at and kind of easy to understand. For those of you who aren't familiar with what VTech stands for, it's variable valve timing and lift electric control. What that basically means is it optimizes performance and efficiency by switching the camshaft profiles at different RPM levels. Basically, long story short, it's a higher horsepower over the lower torque, which allows you a better control of power without any lag. And it really made it fun to drive. Honda's been doing VTEC for many, many years, and they attributed that technology into the Type R to kind of give it a very seamless delivery of power. And that was a lot of fun. The other thing I loved about it was that it could really hold corners and turns very, very well. Now, I didn't push it 70 or 80 miles an hour or anything, but you kind of get the feel of how well a vehicle can hold based on a different speed output. And one of the things with respect to that type of suspension, they used a combination of a double wishbone and McPherson strut, if I'm not mistaken, to kind of give it that smooth delivery and drive, but still a very strong feel of the road. So the performance and handling was just extremely well on this vehicle. Gas mileage on this, I wasn't really expecting this to be anything, that would rival a hybrid or anything, even though it was a Civic. It was right around 22 in the city, close to 28 on the highway. And it did take premium gas, just to let you guys know. With a performance vehicle like this, very few are really concerned about having a high level of fuel economy because it's meant for performance. But even with those ratios, that's still very good with respect to a high performance vehicle. So I got to tell you, the ratings on these, I'm going to be very strong with this because I've always been a Honda lover for many, many years. And I got to tell you, that vehicle was so fun to drive. It made you feel like a certified street racer when you were driving that car. So let's start with the performance. This is an easy A for me on this one. I'm going to give this the Car Guys qualified car, 5 car rating on this one. for the performance. And as I explained, the horsepower over torque ratio was just sublime. The overall feel of the road was great. Just to just kind of feel that push on it was awesome, and the handling, forget about it. It was really excellent. Fuel efficiency, I'll still say it's a 4, so we'll get the Car Guys 4-car rating for that. Because it was a high performance vehicle and it took premium gas, that's why I would drop it to a 4. But to be objective in this case, because it's a high performance vehicle, I think it's still very strong with respect to that. And around even with times now, to fill up, you're looking at about a 12 to 13 gallon tank, so you're not looking at anything too far out of reach. So that was pretty cool. Reliability, it's a Honda, and Hondas are just known for outstanding and upstanding reliability. So you're going to get the Car Guys 5-car rating on that one as well. Very, very reliable, very effective, easy to maintain, the whole 9 yards. It's very great. Resale value, this was one that I had in question. And before I put my rating up, I kind of want to talk about this. One of the things that I noticed when I was in my last position in auto sales, around the time I was demoing this vehicle, we had on our lot at one given point within a month's time around 8 or 9 Civic Type R's. And I didn't understand it. I didn't know if we just had like various people that wanted to like transfer vehicles in or whatever from various locations, or what the reasoning was behind that. But I did notice that a lot of people did not keep the Type R for very long when they originally purchased it brand new. I attributed that, and I kind of did some background review on that. And part of the reason for back then, why people were selling them or kind of just trading them in, was the price point, and just kind of getting over the fact that people were paying between 30 and 40,000 for a Honda Civic. Now, that's one of the things that Honda, even though they differentiated the Type R from everything else, it was still considered a Civic. So, in talking with a lot of consumers, one of the things that they kept telling me in terms of just overall reviews was that it was a hard pill to swallow at first to pay that kind of money for a Civic. The other thing was there were other competitors that were out in the market, like the WRX, WRX STI, the Ford Focus and Fiesta STs, and the Ford Focus RS, which were all 6-speed models and all very highly powered power plant, street racer type vehicles. But they were at a lower price point. So it was kind of hard at first for a lot of people to really pick up on the Honda Civic and be okay with that. But one of the things I did see recently, just kind of doing some research on this, is that it's actually become a collector's item, the Type R. The value has risen since they first came out, and especially on the older options, those actually have a higher resale value or very close to the original manufacturer suggested retail price that when they first came out. So part of that reason is because just of the renewed interest and what it all offers. And the other thing too is that Honda didn't really make a mass produce these vehicles. So a lot of them that are out there are a very, very limited supply. So I gotta give this, based on that information and experience now, the Car Guys 5-car rating on that as well too. So definitely, if you happen to get one, I would recommend keeping it because it will appreciate in value, much in the same way that the older Honda Preludes and of course the Honda S2000s have done over the years as well too. So we'll definitely look to see how that goes with that. And I got to give the overall experience on this particular vehicle. I got to give it a Car Guys 5-car rating on this. Um, One of the things with this particular vehicle, not only is it a head turner, it really is a car guy, car lover dream. I had the advantage and the distinct pleasure of taking it out on 95 North for a couple of hours. And I just remember riding up the road, and I got to tell you, I was in a trance. It just made me feel like I was the supreme race car driver. Like you couldn't tell me nothing. For any car guy or car gal that knows what that feeling is like, this definitely will give you that feeling. And it was so smooth to ride. The one thing I would say about this particular vehicle, I don't know if I would make it an everyday rider, and not because it's not fun to drive or not doesn't have a smooth delivery. It's just, and depending on where you are in certain roads, if you hit a pothole because of the very short tire lip to wheel ratio there, you can be in danger of putting some serious damage on the wheels. So it's just one of those things where if you're doing like a daily commute throughout the city or whatever, if you're on a drive where it's a lot of like a big metropolitan area and it's known for potholes and just things like that, it's just one of those things where it's just like a nightmare that you want to try to drive through. But at any rate, other than that, like I said, all around, it was a very, very just outstanding, sublime, wonderful vehicle. All right. All right, guys. So let's go to the drop a dime segment. So this one I took from two of my car guy faithful, Reverend and Mrs. Quarles, and I know Mrs. Quarles as Granny Quarles. I've known her for a long, long time. She owns their family owns a 1997 Mercedes E320. And I believe their daughter Nikki is the one that is the owner of the vehicle now. So they reached out to me earlier this week and they told me that their windshield motor had gone out and they didn't know what to do because the vehicle was, very old and they could had a hard time finding parts. So I kind of gave them some advice, but I figured I would introduce this topic on the Drop a Dime segment because, like the Quarles family, I too, and I know a lot of my car guy faithful have had vehicles that are much older, and they found that not only is it hard to find parts for, but a lot of times it's hard to find a certified mechanic that knows what they're doing with this with older vehicles. And I told you about my vehicle that I owned. That was the older Infiniti J30. It was like a 1998. And I told you guys, just kind of a quick refresher, how my oldest son was driving and he just accidentally tapped someone while driving on the road. No major damage, no scratches or scrapes, but the system in the vehicle automatically shut down for safety reasons and had to be reset by the dealer. Because the vehicle was so old and the dealers nationwide no longer have that equipment, I was no longer able to get that vehicle reprogrammed. So I had to unfortunately get rid of it. So things like that, I know can happen with people who have older vehicles. So I kind of comprise what can you do when you have an issue with an older vehicle and how to find a mechanic. So here we go. One of the things I kind of researched, you can kind of research mechanics or how to find a mechanic through the AAA's approved auto repair locator. So AAA approved auto repair locator. Go online, Google that, and I believe it'll walk you through a search review based on your area where you live to help you find the nearest mechanic that may be certified or reliable and reputable to fix a specific vehicle based on the age and mileage. When we talked to Jarvis on the Take the Wheel segment, he told me that he had to go and find a certified mechanic for his Dodge Viper. And in that, not only did he have to find a mechanic, he also had to make sure he had access to certain parts for that particular vehicle because of its age, right? So I definitely would recommend using this as a resource, the AAA's approved auto locator. That's a great way to start. Another one you can do is Better Business Bureau. They're great to kind of review mechanics and everything and kind of look at reviews. Obviously, Yelp and Google reviews are also a great resource to kind of find quality mechanics for specified vehicles. And another resource that I didn't really think about until much later, if you go to your local auto parts store, the service people there at like Advanced Auto or Pet Boys or AutoZone or whatever, they may have contacts with individuals that come there for various parts and tools and whatnot. So you might want to ask them. They may have a contact that might have the experience to work on your particular vehicle based on the age and mileage. So it's also a good one. So, just kind of a couple of quick things when you're looking for a mechanic. Be sure that they have what's called an ASC certification, and that means Auto Service Excellence. That typically means that they are certified and they have the reviews and the experience that goes into this national certification. So, that's a great thing to look at. Before you have any work done, always get a written estimate for the work and just be mindful that the estimate is just that, an estimate. So it doesn't mean it's going to be that exact cost should they run into something else that wasn't seen until they actually get into the work. It's a great idea to research parts online as well. One of the things I did for the Quarles family was just kind of look up what the cost and the availability of a replacement windshield motor would be, and made sure I shared that with them via text to kind of take to their dealer and just kind of get an idea of how to go about and what the labor would be involved with that. And then finally, make sure that there's some type of warranty or some type of guarantee for the work to be done. Typically, if you're a gearhead like me, sometimes I like to try to fix things on my own. Sometimes it's better off to leave it to the experts to do. But one of the things you want to make sure is that if something is done and if it reoccurs, you want to make sure you have some type of coverage, if possible, to see that particular issue doesn't come up again. And if it does, you don't have to repay for it again. So that might be a good thing to check out. All right, guys. So that's it for the Drop a Dime segment. And for those that want to kind of ask questions or send me things to check out, send me responses to my email at thelifeofacarguy@gmail.com. So that's the life of a car guy at gmail.com. All right. All right, guys, so let's go to announcements. One of the things I'm going to do to expand the reach of the YouTube page, I'm going to redo the thumbnails on the videos and the titles. I kind of got with a couple of my car guy faithful, and they gave me some great suggestions to kind of open it up and make sure the search criteria is out there to increase the video views as well as the subscription base. So just kind of be on the lookout for that. You might see some changes on the videos with respect to the thumbnails as well as the titles on that. So I'm gonna kind of start doing a few things here and there to kind of get that tightened up moving forward. So that'll be pretty cool. So, all right, guys, we're about ready to sign off and finish up here for the day. Homework assignment, you guys are familiar with this. Please share this with 5 other people that you know that may be interested or may not have an idea about this, and have them like and subscribe to the YouTube page. And also share the website as well and have them check out the blog and have them write comments in on the blogs and the videos and whatnot as well too, okay? The goal of this obviously is to turn this viral so we can do this all over the country and have fun with this. I can't wait to get to that level and really expand and explore this with everyone that's willing to do this. And great segue to this thing of ours, because that's what this is. This is our thing, right? This is inclusive for anyone and everyone. The experience level, come one, come all. There's plenty of room to be a part of the Car Guy Faithful, all right? All right, guys. So thank y'all so much for joining me today. Want to say once again, praise God, and so thankful to do this, because without him, we can do nothing. And that's why I let him take the wheel. And though we may not always agree, it's important that we respect one another. Stay up, and I'll see you on the road.